Now you're all being recorded, but I always tell everybody I don't always pay attention to chat. So if you do have a question, please feel free to say, Kathy, I got a question. Okay.
Okay.
Don't feel like you can't interrupt and ask questions. So most of you are pretty much familiar with the basic layout of the Appfile screen and kind of understand each of the different sections, or do you want me to just do a quick basis on those functions? Are y'all pretty okay with knowing each of the different sections that are on the home screen?
I think the home screen would be helpful to go through, Mary. Don't you as well? We had some questions in regards to that.
Yeah, because I had an agent who did not know how to do Appfiles yesterday, and Kathy, we called you up and we got everything done. We merged it and stuff, so that was something new for me. So that was really good. So thank you.
That's always the fun stuff. All right, so I always tell everybody when you first log into Appfiles, this is your home screen. Okay, if you're not sure you're on your home screen, anytime you click on the home button, that will take you to your home screen. Okay, you can create new app file 3 different places, create a new app file here, create an app file here, and create an app file over here. You guys are in my way, so sometimes you'll see my mouse move because I have to move you off of my prompts on my screen.
That's all right.
Okay, so that's 3 ways to create an app file. You can search your app files here or search for an app file here.
Oh,
ASCs will probably have I'm a regional ASC, so I can see all 7 of my offices. My offices, I shouldn't say that, the offices, but you can local search here for an app file or do a search here. And then across the top, they have help. These are little help videos, little tutorials that you can watch really quick. They're specific to the program. They're not really specific to CB Sunstar Paradise and Premiere. So some of the things you'll see in the videos, you'll go, I've never seen that before. So app file support. I always tell everybody with the ASCs on the call, reach out to your ASC or your sales manager if it's during business hours before you call Appfiles. Because a lot of times we can go into your files and see exactly where you're stuck, what you're doing, and it's easier. I mean, Appfiles is great. They love to help you. But if it's after hours, you can't call. You can only email them. But they are very responsive by email. Okay, of course, yeah, tells you welcome, and there's your sign out. Okay, so we'll go across the tabs. Again, home, your app files. Now, on the right side, you see recently new app files. If, as an agent, it's going to show you the most recent app files you created, 4, 5, or 6. Like in mine, I see a whole bunch. Those are agents, of course. But if you don't see an app file right down the side because it's maybe been a month or so, if you go to the second tab, My App Files, that will take you into your app files. It will show you all your seller files, buyer files, pending files, active listing files, all your closed sales. You can filter them by file name. If you filter by file name, it's going to go by the street number first, or the number, and then the street name. You can sort it by file type, so you can do all your buyer files first. Okay, again, this is office level. I'm going to move you guys over. You can sort by date. The sort date sorts it by the date the app file was created. So for here with me, we went live here in March of 18, excuse me. So it'll take you back, or you can go to the most recent, which would be today. So those are just some little tips on there. You can filter by a file type. So say you want to look for, you have a listing. Say you have 50 listings, which we would all love right now. I know that. But say you have 50 active listings and you can't see it right here on your screen. You can filter by active listings, and it's just going to pull all your listings. Okay, so you can just filter. ASCs will have it by user. That allows us to filter our files by a specific agent. And then open request is any user or somebody's got open request on something. Okay. So I always just like to kind of go through that a little bit. Signature request tells you how many you have out that are active, how many need to be reviewed that have been already signed, and signature requests that you yourself have set out in the last 7 days. Okay, the inbox. I don't like using the inbox on the main screen because every email that you send in and out that goes out from Appfiles is going to be on the app file itself. Now you can have an email and add it to an app file. I have never used this function in how many years? Since 18? 4 years? I've never used this function at all. I've never needed it, never know, don't know why it's there. Because anything you do from an email to a customer, to a listing agent, to anything should be done directly from the actual app file. That way all the history stays with the app file. The activity is just, ASC wise, even agent, you will see all your activity. ASCs will see the activity in the office of anything that's been done to the files in our office. Say accounting that closes a file because it was a closing. Any comments I've made on files, the manager's made on files. And that's all that is. You can, filter it by how many emails did I send out today, or if I'm looking for an email that was sent from one of our agents to a customer, you can filter it. So there's just all different options within the activity section that you can filter by. Checklist, that's a whole ASCs, that's maybe for another time. Maybe at the end of the class, we can go over that because there's something on an office level of keeping your checklist cleaned up, which if you start from the beginning, you keep up with it, it keeps your files cleaner. If you let it get way behind you, then you want to clean up files. And tasks are what I call follow-ups. Now you'll see here, I use follow-ups. Tasks are here in the middle of the main screen also. When I need something from an from an agent. See, on this file, it's a new construction, but we still need all our company disclosures on a new construction. So I put a follow-up and emailed the agent, I need your buyer to sign all our in-house disclosures. And I'll put a follow-up for 4 or 5 days or 2 days, depending on what it is. I'll add a follow-up, and you see I'm a little behind on mine. Yesterday was a crazy day. There's Brent.
Holy crap.
Oh, hi, Brent. Who's that behind Brent? I can't see.
I can't see anybody. I just see 5 of you, Gabby.
Well, that's really all that's on. We just added another agent came on, Maria Conrad. So besides
Hi,
me, I
Maria.
think there's 6 people on. So if you can see me and Jeannie and Linda and Maria, you're seeing pretty much everybody. So what's Brett, fixing your computer or what? Anyways, all right. So your tasks, again, ASCs, I recommend you use it for reminders for yourself, of anything that you need to follow up with. From an agent standpoint, you could use it to remind yourself when you've scheduled your home inspections, when you have a WDO coming in, or, schedule as reminders to yourself of when you're doing your walkthrough or anything that you want to use it for. Okay, that's what it's nice there. When we get into it a little bit, I'll show you how to do one. So that kind of just goes across the top of the different tabs. Down the side, for those of you that haven't yet, get your email footer in your email in Appfiles. And I'm not sure in Paradise if you guys have been taught this or no, but in your settings, you go to your email footer and you have it here, you get it in here, and every time you send an email from Appfiles, that footer is automatically there. So you guys have, Mary and Michelle, you guys have that already? Linda, you've been on one. Did you get yours all set up?
How did you get there? You went into...
When in the upper right corner, you want to go into your settings.
Okay.
Go to settings, and then you see email footer.
Email footer.
And what?
I still have Kate's.
Okay, well, so you want to update yours. Does your email already have a footer programmed, like a banner in it like mine?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so all you do is you go here to copy.
Uh-huh.
And you just click the copy link, and it says it's copied. I don't want to do it because I just updated mine. And then you just go to your email program, compose an email, and then right click and paste what you copied from Appfiles. And then when you send, it will go into the app file and it will replace Kate's footer with yours.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes you gotta give it a couple of minutes,
Okay.
but that's how you can get yours.
No wonder everybody's writing to Kate instead of me.
Yeah, that way you can get your banner in there. That makes a little more sense. So, but for agents, it's always nice, even if whatever footer they're using in their email is what's, whatever you have in their email as your footer is what's going to import into your footer in Appfiles.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you so very
Okay,
much.
you're welcome. So let me get back to my app file. So I'm going to just close this window. Okay, so I'm going down the side. Oop, I gotta admit hold on, I'm getting there. George, you're coming in twice. George is my floor agent this morning. So you're going down the side, your forms values, Appfiles has told me, and I agree with them, try not to use that. I mean, you got to be careful when using it, because anything that you program on these forms is going to always be on that form in every single file. Every time you pull in a transaction worksheet, say, I can say that, say you're doing the as-is contract. Yeah, it's going to make me look for it. When you're doing an as-is contact, I can talk this morning, guys, really, I can. Anyways, if you're doing an as-is contract, my eyes are either tired or I'm not seeing anything. I got people running around the office this morning. Anyways, you can, on the last page of the contract, with the new contract, now I can't remember if it's 11 or page 11 or 12, that you can put in your name and your office. So every time you do a contract, that will auto-populate. But you just have to be very careful whatever form values you put in on those forms, because it will be there every single time. Like, you can't put a disclosure in additional items unless you want it there every single time. So I always tell, Appfiles, when I ask them, they said, don't mess with it. That's what Appfiles says. So I tend to believe them a little bit. Again, you create your new app file, print blank forms. Hold on a second. Okay, print blank forms in here. Hi, Randy. Because we have mostly new agents on, we're doing a 101 class. So print blank forms. If you click on your print blank forms, it's all the forms in all the forms bank of our in-house forms and all the Florida legal forms. So you got all the in-house form, and then you have all your Florida legal forms. You can print them directly from here. You can download and print, do the same thing. You can say you need to hurry up your ASCs. I need that transaction worksheet, or I'm not going to let you get paid. You can go right here, hurry up, fill it out, and print it. Okay? But again, anytime you have forms that you need to print, say you need to run out the door because you're in a hurry and you have a customer that wants to do a wet signature, you can do it this way. But just remember that you still have to have an app file with all those forms in it. So again, that's the print blank forms, update files, scan, make an update. All these should be done within the actual app file itself. So you would just want to open your app file to be able to make all those notations. Down here, you'll have, again, ASCs may have a global search, but agents will only have a local search. You can view all your files. And then your agent workspace is how many buyer files you have, how many seller files, how many listings you have, and how many pendings. Again, ASCs, you'll see your whole office. And then you have your different types of closed files down here. Again, I went over the create a task, the tasks in the middle, and then all your recent activity. All the activity that's done in Appfiles every day is permanently recorded in the recent activity section. Okay, you can view all and go, I've got 3,083 pages from an office level. As an agent, you might only have 10 or 15 pages or whatever, but these are all permanent. Okay, and again, these are your recent new app files. Are you waving that? There you go. Hi, Randy.
Yeah. Hi there. I have to go to the digital accelerator class in a few minutes. But I have a question that I've run into a couple of times working with new agents, and I hate to back you up, and you've probably already
That's
discussed
okay.
it. But when I go in like a new agent and they've created an app file with an address, and
Okay.
they want to go in and let's say they want to add the buyer's pack,
Okay.
I go in and I cannot find the buyer's pack. I find a single page, but when I search buyer's pack, it doesn't bring up the entire packet. It's named something else, and I'm at the state of mind now that I can never remember what it's actually called.
That's all right. Let me see if I can find my test file. We haven't gotten that far yet, so you're okay.
Oh, I didn't know if I was ahead of you or behind you. So
Nope. No, but it's a good time to ask because we're just now going to go into start creating. But say you have, so your agent's already created the app file.
Yep.
Okay. So they haven't added forms, or this is their first time looking?
Add forms, yeah.
Okay. So in their add forms, they can select the forms package here,
Right.
and it should give them, buyer pack, buyer vacant land listing here.
And probably that's what I'm missing, because when I go back up to the add forms that you were at.
Hold on, I got to move you out of the way. Hold on a sec. Okay. Add
So you
forms.
go to add forms, and what I normally do is I search for forms. I forget about going to select a form package.
Okay.
And no matter how many times I'm clicking on it here while you're doing it, I can't get it to open. So if you click on add all forms again for me, there's the buyer pack right there with all 8 forms in it. I don't know why I have a mind block on finding that buyer pack.
There's that way to do it by the pack, or if you just scroll down, you should see your buyer packs here, and where you can select all.
Right.
Or and then your vacant lands. So besides just having it at the top, if you scroll down, it should have its own section for each.
It should have. Now, when I go to search forms and I type in buyer pack or buyer, it doesn't pull it up that way.
Because that's not the name of the form.
Oh.
Okay, if you do select the forms package is here, but to search for a form, if you type the word buyer, it's only going to bring up any of your forms that have the word buyer in it.
See, intuitively, that's where I go is to search for forms.
Right.
So I guess
I gotcha.
Okay. That makes
like I
sense.
said, you do your forms package.
Forgot it. So thank you. And I
gotta go. That's changed. Before we didn't have them right at the top. So that's been a change in the last couple of months.
Okay.
Where the packs showed right up at the top. You used to have to scroll down a little bit.
Right.
Or you can filter by types.
That's good information that I was not aware of. So that's why I'm searching for something that I didn't know was there. Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
See you guys.
All right. Bye, Randy. All right. So that was a quick learning lesson there, guys. All righty. So everybody, we're all good. I know we got a couple more people came on while I was walking Randy through that. So again, we went through everything on the home screen. Now we're going to create an app file. Okay, so we just create the app file. We need to name the file, the address of the property. Now, right now, if you're working with a buyer, we normally don't like to do this, but right now it's okay. If you're working with a buyer, you can name your app file after your buyer's name, especially if you're submitting offers and they're getting rejected, another offer, they're getting rejected. That way you're not creating 50 different files for every piece of property that you're putting an offer on. So if you have an agent that's working with a customer and they put in an offer and it was rejected, then you have to then they're putting another in. They can keep them all in the same app file. And once they have a contract that gets fully executed and accepted, then they can change the name of the app file from the buyer back to the address of the property. Okay, now we did a buyer. Well, we were supposed to do a buyer pack last week until we lost internet. So is everybody good? Still want to do a buyer pack today? See, a lot of people don't have their cameras on. I can't see people shaking their heads. Linda, you're good with a buyer pack? Okay. So right now, I'm just going to pick an address, probably one I've already used 100 times. I'll just change something a little different on it so it I always name it test file so the sales manager in this office doesn't go, oh boy, we got an agent creating another file with a contract. This way she'll know it's Kathy's test file. So always, house number, street, city, state, and zip. Now, if it's a vacant lot in a county that doesn't assign a house number until there's a house on it, you would just put lot 3 on Grand Palms Drive or lot 0. Whatever the lot number is what you should put for the vacant lot. Lot number 23, Grand Palms Boulevard, Englewood, Florida. Okay. So once you put your file name in there, the next type is your file type. We're going to do a buyer file. You have a choice, buyer file, seller. We shouldn't be doing tenant, landlord in Appfiles. This is usually, okay, hold on guys, I'll get it. Maybe they got themselves fixed. Okay, they must have muted themselves. Okay, so we're going to do a buyer file, excuse me. Okay, next prompt that's required is a residential, sale contract buyer side paperwork. It's a requested field drop down. It's going to be a single family home, single family with HOA, lead-based paint, FHA, VA, condo, or multi-family and vacant land. Hi, Valerie. So what this does is load the checklist of all the requirements in. So if you have a single family with an HOA, we're going to need that HOA doc as part of the required documents. Wow. And on this one, if it's a pre-78, you load a pre-78, it's going to put the requirement in for the lead-based paint. Same thing with an FHA VA. It's going to load the requirement that we have to have that form. So from a buyer standpoint, your HOA and your lead-based paint should be coming from the listing agent. So it's not a form necessarily that you should create, but if the listing agent doesn't have one, I always say just make your life easy, just do it and send it to her to get the other listing agent to get your buyers to get buyers and sellers to sign. So for today, easy use, I'm just going to do the single family home. Okay, your agent name, it automatically defaults to you. You can put your name in, buyer's name. Okay, closing date you won't have yet because we're putting in our offer, MLS number. If you have the MLS number, enter it in here. But if you're still working with a buyer and you're doing multiple offers that are getting rejected, just leave it blank. Referral type, please only put a referral if it's an actual referral. Relocation, Cardis, Rocket Mortgage, Redfin. If there's no referral involved in it whatsoever, just leave it blank. And at this point, we're not representing the seller, so leave the seller blank. In your other notes, anything that you want to put in there for yourself, you might see notes from your ASC or your sales manager in there. But if there's something that you want it to be seen every time the file is opened, you can put a note in there. And then you just click next. Okay, and next is your users. Everybody down the right side are all the bookkeepers, your ASC managers, regional VPs, and they cannot be removed from the file. Everybody down the left side are all the agents in your office. So if you work with another agent in your office as part of a team, you can add them from here. Or if you go on vacation, you can add an agent to help cover your files while you're gone. And when you come back, you can remove that agent from your files. So that's it. Let's see. Next, and there's your app file. Okay. So again, you got your address, all the information, your users, and I'll just run through some basics real quick. And this is where your note section. So if you had put a note in there that says, please call Jim at every time somebody calls on a showing or something, you would see that right here. So that way, every time you'd open the file, whatever note you have, it would be right there. Okay. And in the middle, these are all the file access, all the users we were talking about. If you were going to go on vacation and you needed, I don't know, let's just say you needed me to cover your files, you can go in and add the user to come in and cover your files while you're gone. And when you come back, that will be the only person that you could X out, but you can take that agent right back out again. But anybody else from an agent standpoint, you can't remove these people. The sorting date, that's the date the file was created by who, on what day. And then every app file has its own email address. So you can email a document from your email directly into this app file. So every time you create an app file, this address 1744 at is specific to 37 Grand Palms. So it changes every time you get a new one. And as we get through class, I'll show you how to email things in. Again, here, if you wanted to create a task as a reminder, I'm going to do it real quick.
So can I just ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
So when you're saying you're going to show us how to email things in, so if a document is scanned to my email, you're going to be able to show us how to take it from email and put it directly into Appfiles rather than saving it to the desktop?
Well, you shouldn't be saving them to the desktop anyways. If you haven't I'm going to show you 3 different ways on how to get stuff into Appfiles. One of them, you can email it from your email directly in. If you scanned and emailed it to yourself from your Office scanner, if you're using Google Chrome, which I'm hoping you are, and you download, it should download to your system tray, and you can just grab it and drag it right into the app file. So you shouldn't have to be saving them on your desktop.
Yeah, I've been saving them everything. So you're doing that, Mary, saving everything to my desktop, then browsing, uploading the file, browsing, and pulling it in that way.
That's okay. There's 3 different ways. I'll show you how we get them in.
Okay, great. That's great, because just one last note on that. I had an agent yesterday who came into the office specifically to have me help him get a document out of his email into Appfiles. He didn't know how to do it. So this is something I could show him as well, correct?
Yes. Oh, yeah. See, the thing is with Chrome, you have to make sure that your downloads are set to be automatically saved. Okay. So in the Google Chrome settings, like I said, Appfiles, most of our callable banker programs work best in Google Chrome.
Okay.
But in the settings, in the 3 dots in the upper corner, you can go into your advanced settings. I'd have to remember. And in there, it will say, how do you want your PDFs? If you have it programmed to automatic save, it's always going to prompt you to save it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
That's all right. It's something if at the end of class, if we have time, if not, we can always set up cameras. I'm always willing to do, Google Meets with you guys if you need help with something. I don't mind.
Oh, don't tell us that, huh, Mary?
That's what I'm here for, though. I mean, I do train Sunstar, Premier, and Paradise and Appfiles. I train the managers and the ASCs. Also,
you do? Okay.
Yep. When we first go on, I train them, and when they need refreshers, I train them.
Oh, I need you, Kathy.
I love everybody. All right.
Okay.
So when you go in to do a task, you just task type. You don't have to put anything there. There's a drop down. You get a choice to pick. Okay. You don't have to put anything, but in a task title, you might want to say, we're doing our WDO inspection, and then you can whatever notes you want to put in there. I'm still getting used to my new keyboard, guys. Just so be patient. Task details. You can type in anything you want there, but assign it to. You always want to assign it to yourself. So if you choose it down, you can choose people in your office. But say I wanted to assign a task to the agent. I would choose the agent and remind them that tomorrow, don't forget, I need this from you tomorrow or whatever. I assign them to myself when I'm looking for stuff on a file. The due date, depending on what it is, if it's on a listing, a contract, or a listing agreement or a contract, 48 hours max. If there's stuff missing on the actual legal documents, because those can be violations if Freck walks in the door or anybody else. So your legal documents, I usually will not give them more than 48 hours to either get me the stuff before I'm poking at them again. If it's just an in-house disclosure, you might want to remind them in 2 days and then maybe set another reminder for another 2 days. But it is stuff we still have to have for the file. So on your due date, you can just pick your date. Okay, and at the bottom,
48 hours, huh?
On legal documents like a listing agreement and stuff, especially if it's in the MLS and if it's gone pending in the MLS, yeah, I'd give them 48 hours. Like on a listing agreement, if they didn't say the agent didn't sign the contract, at this point we don't have we have a valid contract with the seller, but as a brokerage standpoint, there needs to be a signature on that contract.
Got it.
See, I wasn't told that. That's good to know. That's really good to know.
Yeah, that's all Florida law. That's Freck violations, all of that stuff. And when I get into adding the forms, I'm going to give you guys some little pointers. This for agents as well as ASCs. But when you get down to your reminders, you want to assign the user. I choose myself, and over here, assign it. You want to be on the due date, after the due date, before. Well, of course, I want to be reminded on the date I'm asking to be reminded.
Yeah.
Just click add and then create the task. So it'll have the task here in the middle of your screen. But again, it also shows you, I'm going to refresh. I went back to my home screen tab. I'm going to refresh. And you'll see it added it right here on mine. Where's my WDO? Right here. So that also will show up on your home screen, on your follow-ups. Create an update. This is all the activity that I was telling you about that is permanent part of the file. Say you have a verbal conversation with your seller, okay, or buyer in this case, and it's important to the transaction. You need to create an update on this file that the buyer is absolutely not going to budge, and the seller needs to, kick in $500 or whatever the conversation is. If it's important and it's part of the transaction, it should be documented in the app file. It's a CYA for the brokerage and it's a CYA for the agent. Okay, so if it's important and part of the transaction, you just go in and create an update, type in whatever little notes you want to put in there, and you don't need to tag anybody. If you're just going to put a remark in there or tag it for somebody in the office so it's part of the file, you just put in your test, create the update. And you'll see it right here, test. So if you wanted to say you wanted to send an update and you wanted your sales manager to see it, you would just check your sales manager. Anybody that has access to that file is going to see it, but when you tag somebody, it sends them an email to let them know so that way if you want your sales manager to see something on a file, or an agent wants an ASC to see something and they tag it, that way we get an email going, oh, you need to look at the file, there's something in there. Okay, so now that we've got it all created, here comes the fun part. And I have 2 offices in my region, which I'm battling with. Down on the right side, you have your file information. Now, when you first create the app file, this information needs to be filled out. It might take you 15, 20, 25, 30 minutes, depending. But this is how we have to treat this as if it was a file folder in our office, in our cabinet. We need the buyers and the sellers' names. We need a phone number. We need email addresses. Okay, testimonial tree, which is our new program, will not send out testimonials if we do not have an email address in this file. So we need to make sure that we have at least base information on buyers and sellers, first names, last names, cell phone numbers, email address. So if our attorneys or our regional VPs or anybody has to get a hold and talk to the customer, that information is right there. If we have nothing here, then they're calling the agent. Agent's going through their file folder looking for phone numbers. That shouldn't be. This is the brokerage's record. Okay.
So are you seeing predominantly this isn't being done? Because I didn't know about this. This worries me.
I can't see who's talking. I'm sorry.
Michelle.
Michelle. I can't speak about Premier and Paradise because I can't see you guys' stuff. But I have 2 offices in my region that they don't do it, or it's half and half. I have 1 or 2 agents in my own office that just like willy-nilly it. But we have to at least have the base information.
Okay.
Because if we say Scott Kramer is on every single app file, he is our company attorney. So if he gets a call or he's told to, hey, go into Appfiles and there's no phone numbers, no way for him to contact the customer, then we're reaching out to the agent, get your file folder out, get your cell phone out. We need this information.
Not good.
Okay. So it should be just like as if it was an office file folder sitting in a filing cabinet in your office. Before Appfiles, we used to have a file info sheet on the front page of the file folder that had all that information. So we really do need that information in the file. So, like I said before you start going into it, I always advise to go into your file information and fill in as much as you can. Okay, since we're working on a buyer file, your master buyer template, click on your blue edit button. And also the main part about this too that's important, the more they fill out in here, and you'll see there's a lot, the more they fill in here, the less they have to type on the individual forms, because all of this document, anything that you type in here will import into the documents. So the theory of I don't need to put it here is the theory is you have to put the address on the standard disclosure. You have to put their names on this disclosure. So, and then you have to manually type all that information on all those forms. If you put it in the template and import it into the forms, it will just automatically populate that information into your documents. So once you're in your master buyer template, I'm just going to stick with me and my husband. Okay, one thing to remember with your buyers, if you have just one buyer, that's fine. But if you have Jim Cripp and Kathy Cripp, you need to designate who's going to be buyer 1 and who's going to be buyer 2. Okay, so even if it was just Jim, you still have to designate him as buyer 1 for signature purposes on the electronics. Okay, so buyer 1 is going to be Jim. Okay, tax ID. I'm still liking to get this field removed. We do not want social security numbers, Fed ID numbers. We don't want any of that information in here. So you can just skip right through that. Buyer's address, put in what you want. Say they're going to, this house that they're putting an offer in is one they're going to buy, or it's a fully executed contract. You can put that in there if you want. Say it's somebody that's buying this house for seasonal. You might want to put the buyer's address, you know, here, and they also have a place for buyer's mailing address. You can tab between each of these fields. I'm not going to take a ton of time filling all this out because it will take 20 minutes of class. But fill in, you know, an address of what for your reference, as well as if we have to mail something to the customer. So, but do fill in your emails. Again, our testimonial tree program will not work if there is no email address on the file. Just that is, well, anything you program in the template will also populate into the email program inside Appfiles. It'll, anybody that's programmed in here with an email, it will pull that email address into Appfiles for you to be able to access it from sending an email. Okay, so again, your phone numbers, I'm just going to put in I'm going to just use the office number, but please at least get a cell phone or a home number one. Okay, buyer 1, buyer 2, of course you have to designate if you have more than one. Separate them out. This comes how it comes. Where'd we go? Okay, it went away from me. Sorry, guys. Okay, designate who your buyers are. If there is no buyer 2, you don't have to put anything there. If you have buyer 3 and buyer 4, I'll show you in a little bit how you can add them in. Okay, again, we don't need personal information. Add the address. Make sure you put an email address in for both. If they're using the same one, you can copy and paste, and you can use the same email address in Appfiles. Excuse me, for signature requests. Okay. Again, phone numbers, buy or sell. I'm just going to use the same number, but fax numbers, I hope we're not using faxes. MLS number. You can put if you can put it in here, but remember, if you're using this as a buyer file and you're putting in an offer for a buyer on this property and that doesn't come through, and you're going to use the same app file to put an offer in on another property, you're going to need to change all that information in the template every time you put in a new offer so you can import the correct information into the paperwork. So just be careful if you're using the same file for a buyer on different, as you put more offers in. If you get an offer rejected, you just have to make sure you get it all changed in here, or it's importing the wrong information into the forms. Okay, so if you have the MLS number, you can put it in there. Okay, your subdivision, year built, all this information, you can import it from the MLS. We recommend that you copy and paste it from the tax records or the property appraiser, because mistakes do happen in MLS for accuracies. It could be a 0 dropped off of something in the legal description that could skew something up. You can actually, this is a Windows-based program. You can go into your property appraisers and actually copy the subdivision over, the year built, the actual property address, the county, all of that. You can just copy and paste it in. I'm just going to put in something for right now. Oops, I'm doing legal address in the subdivision. See, again, if you put something in the wrong place, you can, where's my legal description? You can copy and paste between the fields. So say the subdivision is, I'm using two different things. Year built 1998. Property address. Now, anything that you're putting in here in your property address, this is what's going to import into your contracts. Okay, so the property address is, what did I say, 37. Now, be careful. I've seen this happen a couple of times. You'll get in the habit, especially us that type all the time. After the boulevard, you want to return and do the Englewood on the next line. Don't, because it won't pull into the field. Do it all on the same line, because that's how it's going to pull in on your contracts and your listing agreements, because it's all one line. If you hit the enter and put Englewood below, it's only going to pull in the first part of the address. Okay, so just keep it all on the same line. And like I said, this can take time when you're first doing it. I'm not sure about East Coast, but on the West Coast, our property appraiser, everything, the tax ID number, everything is on that page. So you should get all that information from, from that record. Okay, it's not our listing. You can fill in the listing date if you want, but we're not representing a listing agent. At this time, you don't know the contract date because you're just putting in your offer, so you don't actually have an executed contract. Say you're doing your offer and you want to give them 48 hours on the effective date, you could put that in. Date of inspection. Once you have all that information, you can go back into this template and add it at any time. Okay, same thing with closing date, sale price. Say you want to put an offer in of, I'm just going to throw a number in there, $425,000. List price, let's say, right now in this market, we'll just put it in as $400,000. Okay, total percent. You can, again, fill in whatever you need to fill in. Selling broker firm. This is what I was telling you could fill in on the contract on the last page. So every time you write a contract, it automatically fills in. Caldwell Banker Paradise, Caldwell Banker Premier, Caldwell Banker Sunstar. And it would fill this in along with like your name on page 12 of the contract. Again, you don't have to fill all this in. You can put your name on it, selling agent name. I keep picking on Becky. She's the manager in my office, so. Okay, if you have a mortgage company involved, you can add their information. If you ever have to deal with a loan officer or anything, you can add all that information in here. So when we get down to after the mortgage information, there's deposit amount information. Okay, so anything you enter here is going to import into the finance section on the contract. So again, the more you put in there, your initial deposit amount, let's say they're going to put in $10,000. Okay, you can put a due date there, but you don't always know till you negotiate when it's due. And then if they have an additional deposit, say that, for a good faith, you're going to ask them for another $5,000, say after inspections or something, whichever. And you guys, from an agent standpoint, that's always negotiable. Escrow agent name. You have escrow agent, and then down here you have title. Most of the transactions we do over here in Sunstar, title is doing both. But occasionally you might get an attorney that's holding escrow and title's doing title. If they're both the same, just put them in there. I'm just using. You can copy and paste between the fields. If they're the same, if they're different, add your escrow agent, because it's going to pull into the contract the escrow agent's name into the finance section if you have it programmed here.
When you're referring to pulling into the contracts, and this part makes me a little bit nervous in regards to accuracy. How here, if say we're typing something, we type it incorrect, how is it affecting, you're saying pulling it into the contract? What do you mean by that?
You're going to import everything you type into here. You're going to import it into the contract instead of manually typing it.
Okay, this is from the agent perspective. Okay, I have to change my
That's okay.
way of thinking. Okay.
I have to do this all the time.
Yeah.
So, and then you can always go back in. So if you do see you import into your documents and there's a mistake, you can always, oh my gosh, I'm blowing up my phone today. What's up?
So this is the agent needs to be doing this,
Yeah,
correct?
this is agent training, not ASC training.
Okay, now would we as an ASC, I'm sorry, would we as an ASC, because I picked up on the side, on that side to see what they have, and some of them don't have anything written in there. Is that, do we see that, or is it just on the agent side?
And you see everything in the app file. So if there's
Yes.
nothing in here, your agents aren't doing it. So in
Ah.
Paradise, that would be a Kate and a Lisa Cataline if they're going to require. And here's the deal: when I train them, I tell them they need to do it. So
Okay,
Okay.
because I
in
don't
order
even
for
have a
you-
master file or anything like that. I'm picking up the edit values. I have the escrow agent, the outside broker, the sales contract, the title company, and add new.
Well, you guys have
And
all
that's-
different templates depending on your region. So double
Yeah.
check it with Kate.
I
Okay.
will.
So
But-
just to make a point here, Mary, we have to remember, we have to decipher here between what the agents are doing and what we
Exactly.
do.
And I'm sorry,
yeah.
ladies. Yep.
Sorry, Kathy,
Okay.
yeah.
No, that's all right. Sometimes the agents learn stuff from when they hear us talking about stuff. So again, we
Yeah.
got your escrow and your title. And this is seller information. Now you can fill in your seller's names, even though they're not ours, because it will populate in on the contract as the sellers. So Linda, are we doing okay? Driving you nuts yet?
No, I'm appreciating this because I've not been active for about 6 months. So I'm just doing a
Okay.
refresher so I can go back
Cool.
and gun ho.
Good.
Thank you.
So we're gonna just put Randy and Terry. Well, do it right so it comes on the contract. Okay, you seller's name. Now, if we were representing the seller again, we would be doing their signatures. You'd want to separate them out. But because we're not representing them, that's what's going to pull in on the top of the contract as who the sellers are.
Okay, quick question. Now when you have the sellers, should it always be and or should it be or?
Doesn't matter.
What happens if somebody
When
passes
you're
away?
doing a contract, well, that's all. You got to talk to your managers on that.
Yeah,
'cause
all right.
Everybody has a different philosophy because if somebody's passed away, there should be a death certificate somewhere.
Yeah,
Okay, so and that's all going to matter on what the title company requires because usually over here in Sun to Star, we default to title. Say
Yeah.
that somebody just passed away a month ago and they don't have all the certified, death certificates and everything yet. So that's definitely a manager question, and a lot of times can go to title on how they want to handle it.
yeah. The only reason why I asked, my mother passed away last month, and so we're dealing with a whole bunch of crap like this, and everybody says, well, it should have been or instead of because your dad's name's not on it, your mother's name's all over it, blah blah blah. So I'll shut up.
No, you're not. Trust me, I went through it a year ago with mine. So,
Mhm.
but my dad put everything under a trust, so we didn't have to deal with the 5 kids fighting over stuff. I'm the baby of 5, so I get it. All right, so in here again, if you were representing the seller, you would want to fill the seller information out. Okay. Now, remember I said if you had 3 or 4 buyers, say it was a family buying this as an investment for themselves, you can add the new field. The add button does not mean it's saving. I can close this file right now, this tab, and it saves everything that I put in there. There is no save button. You'll see it all down here on the side. If you want to go in and make a change at any time, you can. You go back to your edit button. And everything's there. You can always go in, add, change, delete, anything you want. The add button is for if you need to add something that you're going to use like every time you're doing something on a form. So let's just say new field is buyer 3. And buyer 3 is going to be Matt Crip. Okay, add. That's adding a field. If you had 4 buyers, now it's not going to put it up in with the other 2 buyers. It's always going to be at the bottom. But you could add buyer 4 and buyer 4's name. Okay, so that's pretty much what it is here. Everything is here. Fill out as much as you can. I always tell the agents if they do not want to me, I don't know why they wouldn't, because all this information that we imported or typed or copied and pasted here goes into all the forms. If not, they have to manually type it on every single form. So to me, it's a no-brainer. Spend that 15, 20 minutes when you first create the F file, be done with it. And then only change it when you need to. So I'm just going to close. And again, everything is saved. It's all here. You can't see 100% of everything, but it's there. I'm moving you guys out of the way. So once you've filled in your template, we're going to add our forms. And this is what Randy was talking about when you're adding your forms. You click on the green Add Forms button. And you can either filter by the form package here. You guys won't see agent onboarding. Maybe the ASCs do. But your buyer pack, vacant land listing packs, or you can scroll down. I got to unclick on that. Scroll down and you will have your buyer pack vacant land, residential listing. We do not have a pack created for every single type of transaction. We have the basics. So if you have your the buyer pack and it's required an FHA form, you have to add that FHA form to the documents to get your buyer to sign. Okay. But when you created the checklist, when you created the file, if it was an FHA VA, you would have checked that for the file type and it would have put that requirement in the checklist. Okay. If I'm losing anybody, let me know. But again, you can select the forms package from here. And when you select it from here, you do your buyer pack. You still have to select all to add. So if you come, I'm going to go back up here. And you scroll down to your buyer pack. All the forms are here. Select all. You really only have to do it one step. So you can do it either way. But when you select all, it moves all your forms over here. Okay. So these are all the forms that are required on this transaction for compliance. So you just add your selected form. Now, say you needed to add a form. Say the buyer decided, I'm going to do VA. You can come back over here before you add your train, search for the form. I always tell everybody less is best. Now, one thing that's important to remember, if you're doing a FAR/BAR as-is contract, you must use FAR/BAR addendums. You cannot use a CRISP addendum with a FAR/BAR contract. I see that a lot over here. So say we needed the FHA addendum, you can add it right from here. When you click it, you add it, it puts it right over here in your train. Say you added a form by mistake because you thought you hit FHA, but you didn't. You can remove it, take it right back out of the train. And I call it a train because once we add it, it's all 60 pages in one rung. So add your selected forms. And when you do, it opens it in a train. Okay, you've got 31 pages grouped in pages of 4 at a time. Scroll them down, they're all blank. Now, I'm going to just quickly go across the top. Your print and your download are the same thing. It will always download it as a PDF for you to print or to upload somewhere else. ASCs will have the lock button, agents will not. The submit button, I can't beat this in enough. When you, as agents, have paperwork that is complete and ready to be reviewed, click your submit button. Either click it to the placeholder if it's a standard disclosure or just submit it basically to the checklist. That way it notifies the ASC that there's documents that need to be reviewed for compliance. Because if you don't notify us and there's something on a contract and we don't see anything after like 48 hours, we're calling you, poking you. Where's the stuff? Where's the stuff? I need it. And if you have 5 different contracts in your file, we don't always know which one is the good one. Okay, so I always say submit it, and if you're not sure, submit it, and if you need, we can talk through it with you. Okay, actions button, there's functions here, print, download, rename, you can make a copy, merge forms, which you guys learned yesterday. Move to another app file, be very careful when you use that function. If you're not familiar, work it with your ASC or your sales manager the first time you do. Signature verification report. A lot of these functions, split forms, you can do here as well. So there is some duplications on the functions under the actions as well as on the actual documents. So when you first have your train, you have your edits fields tab. As the tab you're in is blue. Then you have an edit pages tab. And what it does, it splits out your forms so they're all individual. So say you wanted to pull the home warranty, and I know this came up yesterday. Say you wanted to pull the home warranty totally out of here. You don't have to click in the little box, but click on each page and go up to the top and delete the pages. I'm not going to pull them out, but that's one way to get them out of there. I always say you have to get a little square. If you just click in the middle of the page, it will do it. So that's just the difference right there between what you can do with the editing of the pages and the edit fields. You can split forms here, but you don't want to split anything out until you have everything filled in, because while they're all grouped together, everything can get filled out. This is where I think yesterday I was confused when I was talking to Mary, was because they were all separated and they need to group them all back together, but they were scanned and emailed in. But that's why I say when you're first doing it, keep them all grouped together, get as much information into the forms while they're grouped, and then split them off when you need to. So don't use that yet, but import values. If you click on your import values, it gives you a choice to import from a form, but you must have a matching form in the file that already has been filled out. Import from your info fields is the file information that's, that we fill in all that information in the template. Import ours over here, and this goes for Stellar, but import from your MLS. And you can do more than one. You have to say you want to import from info fields, and then you want to import from MLS. You can't do them both at the same time, but you can do the info fields first, and then go back and see what pulls in from the MLS. So for right now, we're just going to import from info fields. It's telling you it's going to pull 2 values from here, and it's pulling in 17 values from that template that we, did. So we're going to choose, and this is showing us everything that is pulling into the forms. Okay, so remember the sale price, deposits, all that. Say there's something here and you see there's a typo. Say you spelled something wrong. You can just uncheck what you don't want it to import. Okay, and then you can go back and fix it or re-add it. Because you can import 15 different times. Say you found a mistake, you go out, you fix it, you can import it again. So it's showing you, again, if there's something that comes in you don't want, you just uncheck it. But we're going to start our import. Done. We're still glitching. They're supposed to fill this out. But it did fill in sales office, the seller, the buyer. Now, this is an in-house form, the transaction worksheet. This is what the agents get paid on. It is important if you want to get paid. But you see on the forms how it's filling all this in. That's why we say put it in the templates. Right? Like I said, the offices that don't do it, I don't know why the agents are manually putting all that in themselves. Now, there's like 11 pages of the home warranty, so I'm just going to skip through the last part of it. Again, it fills in the base information on the home warranty. Are you guys hearing me okay? Because I just got a notice that it's low system resources. If I'm having problems with the internet again, I'm going to get mad. So, but all your forms are in here. And you'll see your as-is contracts like almost all the way at the back. Oh, well, it didn't pull the seller's name. I must put them in the wrong fields. I didn't separate them out as seller 1 and seller 2. But it put in the buyer, the address, the legal address, pulled in your finance information. I'm not going to go through all that right now. I just want to go through to the back. Let's see. But all of them here, again, now you have more of your in-house disclosures. The EPA brochure is required by Florida law that we send this to the buyer. As long as it's included in the package when you originally send it to them, that's our proof that it was sent to them. So if we ever get asked, we can show, hey, this is where we emailed it to them. So it's always included in the buyer pack. And then your home inspection disclosure. So they're all grouped here. Now you can change the order of your forms. Okay, everything that you just imported, if you close, this can get confusing for some agents. General paperwork. It's called, whatever the leading form is, it's called the transaction worksheet, is what it's going to call your package. Your forms are all here. You can rename it at any time you want, but I always say wait till you're splitting off the forms you don't need to send to your customer. Now, on a listing, you have more forms that you don't send to the customer, like the showing instructions, the sign order form. But on a buyer, really the only thing you're not sending to your buyer is the transaction worksheet. Again, you can do import values. If I had an MLS number, we just imported from the template. You can go back in and import values from the MLS. I'm not going to do it because it'll screw up everything I pulled in off the template. But you could put in your MLS number, search for it, and then import from there. Okay, so everything is in here. What I want to do is I want to pull the contract so it's up more, so it's not the last document in the train. You can put them, you can do that before you import them into the file itself, or you can rearrange the order. You click on your edit pages, change your form order. We're going to drag and drop that as is contract, let's say right up underneath our transaction worksheet. Now, everything in here, again, goes to the customer except for the transaction worksheet. When you do a signature request, like on a listing, your seller's property disclosure, and your home inspection disclosure, there's a box on this home inspection disclosure that has to be checked by the buyer before they can put their sign the bottom form. If they sign it, they won't be able to check a box. And we, as well as agents, cannot check a box for a customer. Appfiles and documents it and everything else. So I always say either put it above the contract or right below it. So from an agent standpoint, when you're sending the package to your customer, you can say, please, before you sign the home inspection disclosure, check a box, whether they're going to do them or they're not going to do them. So you can put it right up underneath, but again, you can put them in any order you want. Say you want the warranty to be last, whatever order. But again, anytime you see the save changes button, you must save changes. If you don't see a save button, it'll save when you close. So when we go back over to our edit fields, our transaction worksheet, now you have your contract. Okay. So, like I said, they're supposed to be fixing this like a month ago. It's not pulling in the information from the template. So I'm going to have to remind them again. So at this point, I'm going to just kind of go through a couple of pointers. When you're doing your as-is contract, auto balance. The field, if this imported in and you need to change it, okay, once initials are put on this document, you cannot make changes. So say the purchase price, your buyer calls and says, I really want, I want to order, $420. You can start at the top and change it. Okay. So you can always change any and all of this. But what you can't do is say they want to change their initial deposit. You can't click here and then go back here and make a change and tab through, because it is an auto balance populated form. If you click out of sequence, the auto balance won't work. Okay. So always start at the top and just tab through. If you tab through, say you want to change your deposit from 10,000 to 15, tab through. Even if you're not changing anything with the escrow time, any of that, tab through it all. Okay. You deposit of 5,000, change it. Okay. You'll see your auto balance changed. But if you go out of sequence and go in and change this 5,000 without tabbing through the fields, your auto balance will stop working because it's programmed to balance from the top down. So we had exciting news that the form has finally been programmed to be able to take a dollar amount or a percent in the finance. Forever, it was just a dollar amount. So let's just say it is financing, and you watch, it won't work today. Say we're going to do financing. Okay, say it's 80%. Let's see if it works. There we go. Used to be you had to know the dollar amount. Now, when you're writing a contract, I'll get to the chat one quick second. When you're writing the contract over here in Sunstar, we don't have a single manager that will allow the word balance on a contract. Okay? You have to have a dollar amount, because you have to remember, he's like, well, we don't know what it is. Balance does not include buyer's closing costs, pre-break programs. It doesn't matter. This is going to be your best guesstimate, because title's the only one that's going to be able to give you the exact amount. So this is just the best guess, best estimate. I shouldn't say guess. But over here, we will kick it back if it says balance in there. So again, I'm going to go back to the top, say I want to change my 80% on my finance. Don't just change your 80%. You got to go back to the top. Let's just say it's a FA or a VA and they're going to do 90%. I'm so glad that they fixed that. It does both now. It's so exciting. Okay. Let me check the chat real quick. Oh, Heidi's doing a yay. I know it was a pain for a while. Okay. So you can put the dollar amount in there also. Either or will work. Okay. Before I used to have to say you can't do it. But again, anytime you want to change anything, if there's initials on this page, you can't change anything because it's already now considered an executed document. I always tell everybody, be careful what you put on your additional terms. If you're not sure what is allowed or not allowed, check with your sales manager, especially if you have a mortgage company or something involved. You can't say the boat and the side lots included along with, and because mortgage companies don't want all that in there. Don't say nope, nope, nope. So if you're not sure what can go in there, always check with your sales manager. Again, page 11. I'm not as familiar, I haven't worked with the new contract. Anytime you're submitting addenda, even if it's an HOA and your buyer has signed the HOA that's already been signed, make sure you are checking your addendas on page 11. It's a HOA, lead-based paint, there's a FHA, VA. Just make sure that you're checking the addenda that's included with the contract and the offer. Okay? Any questions on that part so far? Nope. All right, so you guys all want to see how the signature requests work. For those, everybody always loves to see how it works because I always tell everybody, if your customer has an email address and a device, anybody in the world can do it. It's really easy. I'm serious. So your general paperwork, everything that we do in those forms saved everything that we did and changed. So I'm going to open it up again. We have the transaction worksheet that's grouped in these 31 pages that does not need to go to the customer. So you can split the form from here or go to your edit pages and split. Either or will work. Split your form. We're going to pull off our transaction worksheet and we're going to let it just go to general paperwork. All it is a holding section. It just holds paperwork in the file. The rest of it we're all going to keep grouped together and we're going to split the selected form off. It's telling you it's split one. And you'll see now your contract is first and it renamed your package. It pulled off that transaction worksheet. Now, there it is. So, it doesn't have a seller name, but it's because I didn't fill it out right on the template. So you pulled that off. I'm going to close this. You don't have to save. There's no save button. There's your transaction worksheet, and here's your contract package. So it's all ready, excuse me, to go to your customer for signatures. You just open it back up.
Hey, Debbie. I told him to put it,
Okay, so once you open it back up, excuse me, guys, you have a request signature button. You click on your request, tells you how to do it to one party, if you're doing it for two, or if you're doing it for more. So you just click on your start a signature request, type in your signer's full name. We're going to pick on Jimmy first. Type in whoever buyer one is, whoever you program. Now, if you programmed Kathy as buyer one on the template and typed his name here, nothing's going to match. Okay, so you got to make sure whoever you tagged in the template as buyer one is who you're typing in as buyer one on the signature fields. These should default, leave them checked. That allows them to be typed the signatures and initials. And you'll see each of the forms that's in the package is broke down separately. You want to just make sure on the contract that your buyer's signature. And you'll see for each of the forms that the program is the same. It's going to toggle it for you. Okay, so we have the buyer signature on home inspection, standard disclosure. Now, in the wire fraud, they're considered a customer. So we need to make sure that we click customer. And you'll see on the affiliated business, it toggled it for you also. Now, right now, America's Preferred Home Warranty is the buyer's signature if they're accepting it, but it's also if they want to waive it. If they don't want to waive it, they have to sign it. If you know ahead of time that they don't want it, you can just not check that and just do the waiver. Okay, because what it does with the way this form is programmed compared to one we had before, when you send a signature request with both of these boxes checked, it's going to tell the buyer to sign both places, which means we don't know if they're accepting or declining. So that's just kind of something to tell your buyer that if you're accepting it, don't sign the first signature, just do the second one as the waiver. But I asked Home America's Preferred if they could fix their form or if there's a different way to do it in Appfiles. So again, if you're not sure, check them both. If you know for sure they want it, then just don't even check the waiver box. Okay? But if you're not sure, you need to check both. That allows them to sign either or. So all the forms on this site are checked for buyer, and customer. So now we're going to come over to the right side. Your as is, this is initials. You just want to do your buyer initials. So once you know that every form has your buyer and seller and customer on one done, go to next. This is the as-is contract. We don't require your buyer to fill in any of this information on the contract. If you want them to, that's visible to the listing agent. That's up to you. The home inspection disclosure. You must check both of these boxes to activate the fields for them to check a box. If you don't check these two, it's not going to allow them to put an X in the box. This is activating the fields for them. Again, the America's Preferred Home Warranty is just the whole brochure. You'll see a bunch of programming. Just scroll right through it. Go to next, and there's your email. See, we talked about your footer showing up from, and then you can free type an email address, or if you programmed them in your template, say you put the listing agent's address in there too. Anything that you programmed in your template is going to pull in here. So we have buyer 1 and buyer 2. If they have the same address, that's fine. If they're separate, you can pick which one you're using. We tell everybody, please do not change any of this verbiage in here. If you want to put a little note in front, just go in front, please check a box on home inspection before you sign. Okay. That way you're letting them know that you want them to check a box before they sign. You can put any notes in there again, but just don't change the verbiage of what the company has pre-programmed. Boy, I'm not good at typing today. I'll get used to this. Anyways, so that's your email. Once you have it in your 2, you can again free type or pull from a drop down. You click next. Okay, you as an agent or even ASE if you're helping should automatically default to being who gets notified once the signature is complete. Please don't check your manager and your ASE unless we've asked you to. Again, it's telling you signers Jim, and you just want to request signature. Okay, so you've done one. Now, Jim and Kathy can use the same email address to sign, but we sent one request to Jim. Now we have to send a request to Kathy because you can't do them both at the same time. So one request is done. You have your active signature request out to Jim. He's got 7 places to sign and 11 to initial. Now we're ready to do Kathy. So you just do start a signature request. Okay. Again, you'll see buyer signatures and customer 1 are already in request. So it will not allow you to make a mistake of checking the wrong person. So now we're going to do buyer signature. Customer 2. And you'll see it defaults through America's Preferred Home Warranty. Now, if only one has to waive, okay, both buyers do not have to waive the warranty. Since you designated the buyer 1 the option to waive it, it doesn't even give you an option to let buyer 2. Buyer 2 can sign it if they're accepting it. We would need both signatures. But again, just make sure every form has buyer 2 or customer 2 toggled. And again, your contract, buyer initials. Scroll down and next. What time is that? Oh, we still got time. All right, again, this is if you want your buyer to fill in information. You asked buyer 1 to check a box. Only one has to be designated. It will not allow you to let both of them do it. Same thing with the seller's property disclosure on a listing. So America's Preferred Home Warranty, get into all the programming. Next. Okay, again, you can pull it from a drop down or you can free type. And there's your email. And then next, make sure that you're checked to be notified. And you're done. I got 48 emails since I've been teaching class, guys. Come on. All right. So I'm going to go to my email because I'm going to get the emails to myself for my signature request. Okay, so here's my signature request that Jim is going to see. So Jim's going to get this email. He's going to click the link in the middle. And this is exactly what the customer is going to see. So it's always nice for an agent or even the ASCs to see this side. Because I tell anybody again, if you have an email and a device, you can do this. So they can look at everything right here. They can see the contract, look at it all. They can download and print it. But remember, they have to check that box on the home warranty. So sometimes it's better to put it at the tippy top because now they got to go down through the first 12 pages to get to the home inspection to check that box. Because as soon as they click the sign, they can't check a box. So let's just say they're coming down. They're going to elect to do all. Having too much fun already. Return to the top. Okay. So your contract is here. Everything's here. They can see it. They're ready to sign. Okay, let me see the chat. Okay. All right, guys. Anytime you need me, call me, email me, okay? All right. Thank you. So click here to sign. And they can sign 11 times, one by your initial, 11 times. Initial 11 different times. Or they can initial all 11 at once. So initial all, they have to accept. They must click on the box that I accept. Put their initials. We're doing JK. They can do touch or type. And they're going to miss the part on how to email stuff. I should have done that for them earlier. But that's okay. Accept. Okay. So again, I know Linda's like, oh, I know what's easy. It's always say to customers, if they miss one little box, it'll screw them all up. But you'll see if you look, you can see Jim's initials. Same thing. They can sign 7 separate times or sign all at once. They have to accept that they're signing. Again, they can touch or type, pick a sample or whichever. That's what it looks like. They have to accept. If they don't, again, I know when I've said this, they don't check that box, it's not going to let them go on. So they have to make sure that they're checking the little boxes. Hi, Jeannie. What'd you guys do? Lose the internet again? All right, so document complete. They can download and print it now for their records. I'm going to go back to my inbox. Refresh. Sorry. I just look at the number and I quit. So Jim's signature is complete. So now I'm going to do the signature request for Kathy. I'm just going to bop through this real quick. When she pulls it up, she can see that Jimmy's already signed. But she can, again, initial all 11 times individually or initial them all at once. Must accept. They miss any one of these accepts or check boxes, it does not allow them to move forward. Okay, initials. Again, they can do touch or type. Must accept and accept. Just going to sign them all. I'm just going to whip through this here. Since I lost the 2 other girls that wanted to know how to email stuff in, that'll be my next class. Accept. So I'm getting tired of sitting. They can download and print. When they do, it downloads as a PDF. If they're done, you as the agent will get the email that both have signed. And then when they go back to the email, or to the Appfile, when you send the signature request out, you see the little blue pencil in it? It's not even blue. Little pencil with a blue tip. Anyways, that means it's out for signature request. And you're going to go, well, it notified me that they both signed because Appfiles is live. Refresh your page. The little pencil's gone. If you open your contract, you'll see all the initials are there and everything's ready to go. So you want to send the contract to the listing agent. So here we're going to split off forms again because the only thing in this group that really needs to go to the listing agent because we don't have like an FHA or anything is just the contract. So you want to split your forms off. We're going to split off just the as-is contract. Okay, and just let it go to general paperwork into the holding section. Split your selected form. Again, you'll see the form renamed as whatever the leading form is. You can rename it. I always tell everybody to rename it. Just check the little check mark next to the name, and then just put disclosures, because you've already pulled the contract off. The contract off and the transaction worksheet. So once you change the name, you either have to hit enter or the green check mark. That way you know it's just all your disclosures. So you have your transaction worksheet, your contract, and your disclosures. So we need to send this to the listing agent. You can do it two ways. You can open the contract itself, and up in the corner you'll see send via email. Now this I'll have to stop and reshare unless everybody, I don't know who's left on here. Who left? Valerie's on. I didn't even know Valerie came on. Woohoo. Hi, Valerie. Anyways, you can do it, send via email, and it will automatically attach it. Can you guys see my email or not? I'm going to have to stop sharing and reshare every time. Hold on, guys. Okay, so can you see my email here now? So when you compose the email, it automatically has the contract attached. I gotta make my window a little bigger. Okay, you can free type the email in here. So say you're sending it to Valerie Gunther, you can free type it, or if you put her in your template, she would be in the drop down. Okay, but you can choose or free type your message, please, attached is the offer on your property. Please let me know that you received it, whatever message you want to put in there, and you send the message. I just want to make sure I tag myself. Send your message. Now it's going to go out of share screen here for a minute. Hi, everybody. So I'm going to go back in. Okay, so we did send it. That is one way to send it. So I'm going to close this out. I'm going to refresh my page. And you'll see here, this is all the activity that we've done on this file. Sending it out for signature request and everything. And here is the email to the listing agent with the contract attached. Okay. All right. Any questions up to this point on anything? Since I don't have anybody left, the two girls that needed me to help with something, but that's okay. They're ASCs. They can come back. The other way to send the contract is, like I said, you can open it or say it's just here. You can go in the upper right corner to compose an email. All right. Can you see my email? I just wish it would. I think it's just too many windows for it. So I got to stop share, reshare. Okay. So now you can see my composing email. Okay. So it's not attached. Okay. But you can, if you use it from the composing email in the corner, you just go to add attachments. And say you did have a contract and a FHA, and you could go in and select each one to attach to the email. And it will attach it in the email. Again, you can free type, or if you have it programmed in the template, and then your message and send. So that's two ways that you can send them out from the email. So I'm just going to close that, and then okay. Any questions? Anybody? Show them something? Like I said, I lost the two girls that wanted me to show them. I can show those. Linda, do you guys? So we only have Linda and Valerie for agents on. The rest are ASCs. Me and Heidi and Jeannie. There's different ways to get things into your app files. Okay, remember I told you that each app file has its own email address. So if you have an attachment in an email, say that the listing agent, or it's your listing and an agent sends a contract to you and it's in your email. Okay, you can either download and upload it in the app file, or you can email it directly into the app file. So in this case, we're going to show you how to email it directly into the app file. So you have to go in, open your app file, and in the middle, you just click on copy. You'll see a little green check mark came in. Go to your email program. Contract. Okay, you see how this has an attachment on it, but you have to open the email. and we have to forward. This is the attachment. It's not going to forward the whole email. It's only going to forward the actual attachment into the email or into the app file. So we want to go to forward. And when your 2 comes up, you just right click and paste what you copied. And you'll see it's telling you it's going to go to the 37 gram palms app file. Scroll down and send. That's all you have to do. And all it's going to do is email the actual attachment into your app files. So it does take a little bit for it to come in this way. But however you get a document into your app file, it will create a holding section. So when the email does come in, it's going to create a holding section called email paperwork. If you upload paperwork, it's going to create a holding space called uploaded. Okay, so I'll do that while we're waiting for the email. So I'm going to go back to my email, say I scanned and emailed something to my email, and here it is. Now, if you're using Google Chrome and your attachments are right here, if you just click the attachment, it's going to open. You can click on your download. And if you have your Chrome set up properly, your download should come right up here, right above your system tray. Go back to your app files, and you have the option to upload a file. You grab your attachment and drag it right in there and start an upload. So you can email it in and upload it in. Or you can go to your scanner in your office or home and type in 1744@cbscw.appfiles.com and email it directly from the scan it directly from the scanner to the email, to the app file. So those are the 3 ways to get outside documents in. To me, the easiest way, because the email takes a little while, but upload is if you is an ASC, we're always at the copier, we're having to do closings, this and that. You scan an email, it's easy for us to drag and drop and just put them right in there. Okay, but from an agent standpoint, you guys get a lot of these contracts and stuff in your emails, so it's probably just as easy to either email it in or drop it and drag it in, whichever, however your system is set up. So you see the email paperwork. So that's our contract. It's just a blank contract, but this is what emailed in. And then whatever I just uploaded shows up here as uploaded. And you can always rename everything that you get in. Just click on the little blue pencil. And we're going to name it Crip Offer. Whatever you want to name it. But again, remember to hit the green check mark or the enter button for it to save. And it becomes important if you're doing a lot of uploaded paperwork and you don't name the stuff, it's just going to say untitled, and you're going to be in there looking for whatever you're looking for if you got 5 or 6 of them. So I always recommend that you rename the documents, especially if you're getting a bunch of them in there. Just rename them. We're just going to say this one is the Borchi offer. I'm just putting stuff in there. But that way everything's, if we could spell, we'd be okay. Like I said, you guys can pick on me all you want. But that way you name everything that you have so you can keep track of what you have and not just at the ASC. You can say, well, I put it in there. Well, if we see 5 things that say uploaded, we as an ASC or even your sales manager is going to go, well, which one's the good one? We don't want to be the ones assuming which is good, bad, or indifferent. So just, I always say, when I'm training, just, get in the habit of renaming your documents. It's not just good for you to keep your paper organized for yourself, but also if your sales managers or your ASCs are in there looking for something, they know what's there. Okay. Any questions? Anything anybody wants me to go over? Well, since it's a small class now. Nothing, Jeannie? Anything you're getting stuck on? Heidi? Valerie? Valerie's on, but you're being quiet. All right. Well, I'm going to stop sharing.
She actually had a walk-in.
Who did?
Valerie.
Oh, my Valerie. Valerie Gunther, up here in my office. If she's got to walk, she's not my floor person.
Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, I knew Valerie Moore was on at one point. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to stop recording.